Hello, everyone. My name is Arjun, and I want to talk Drag Race. So, I've started watching Drag Race in 2014 after season 6 came out. I think I saw a few clips of Drag Race on YouTube at the time. I was living in India, and I don't know how I ended up seeing these clips of drag queens on my TV or my YouTube channel, and I was intrigued. I think it was something to do with the comedy roast with Bianca. Maybe one of those clips ended up on YouTube, and somehow I was looking at stand-up comedy routines, and it came up, and I was thoroughly impressed. So I thought I'd start watching the show, and 10 years, 11 years later, now I am still hooked. The first season that I actually watched as it aired was season 7. So I thought, since we are 10 years later, with Ginger Minch finally winning a crown, I thought this would be a perfect time to go back and revisit Drag Race season 7 and talk about it. I think talking about it is not anything special that nobody else has done, but I thought it would be interesting because my perspective would be slightly different. For one thing, I watched it while I was still in India. I watched most of Drag Race up until that point while I was still in India. I had to catch up until season 7 while I still lived there. My lived experience is very different from the audience that the show is intended for. And having watched Drag Race airing from that point on, I have had the opportunity to see most of the other seasons come into existence. I watched Drag Race grow from just another show on TV, but catered toward the homosexuals. Now it's a global franchise, and I've been able to see that growth in its entirety from a period just before it hit it really big. And season 7 is, I think, the point when it really transforms from a logo TV minuscule show to the global enterprise that it is today. I think season 7 unduly gets a lot of hate. I don't know why. At the time, I understood why, but now looking back, I don't see it. But I think season 7 is where the new drag race, as I like to call it, uh, begins to appear, which really flowers and flourishes from season 10 on. And you can see the differences start to get highlighted during season 7, how the show goes from a niche reality show to a more mainstream reality show. So I think that's why season 7 is still one of my favorites. I still love it very much. I love all of the queens. Season 7, I think, had more than its fair share of great, extraordinary queens. So I think it's a great season to talk about. And I thought I'll do an experiment and see if anybody's interested in my little perspective in talking about this wonderful show. So let's begin with season 7, episode 1, Born Naked. As I mentioned previously, season 6 was the first season that I watched of Drag Race, but I watched it after it had aired and after Bianca was crowned. But season 7 was the first one that I watched as it aired. It was a transformative period in my life as well because I had just left university and I had got my first job and I had moved away from home. So Drag Race became my comfort show. And the first episode, Born Naked, is again very significant because it's the first episode of Drag Race that I watched as it aired, and being introduced to all these queens and getting to know them one by one and getting to know how the editing of the show works in the time it airs, all of that was fascinating. It almost feels like a psychological experiment. But Born Naked, the first episode, I think still remains one of my favorite episodes and introductory episodes of Drag Race ever, because we meet some of the most iconic queens of Drag Race in this episode. If we talk about the entrance looks, I think there were some really good, strong entrance looks and catchphrases, but some also not so great entrance looks and catchphrases. I think Miss Fane's purple violet look is really something special, especially for that time for Drag Race. I think she was already looking like somebody who could have competed on seasons 10, 11, 12 or something. Except for the face tape, she looks extraordinary. The face tape kind of humanizes her, I think. I think other people have said the same thing. And Ginger Minj, when she walks in, immediately catches your attention with that ridiculously funny catchphrase. And her look is polished. It's not great. It's polished, and she hasn't evolved her fashion much. But it highlighted the fact that she had been in the industry for quite a while, and it's entertaining. Jaden Dior, if we have to talk about her, I think is one of the sweetest, most charming people ever to appear on Drag Race. And I think that's a general popular opinion. She looked cute out of drag. She looked gorgeous in drag, even though the drag is quite pedestrian and you can see that it's very homemade. It was wonderful the way she presented it. And I think her little bra gets more airtime than most people on Drag Race seasons anyway. Violet Chachki. Ooh, what do I say about Violet Chachki? Um, Her look is good. It's not quite extraordinary. And in the first episode, I think her attitude really stinks, even as she comes in. Her entrance line is nothing to write home about. It immediately kind of painted her as blah in my mind. The other entrance looks were better before her, and the entrance looks after her really caught my attention because in comes Max, perhaps the most underrated, underappreciated, but at the same time, deeply beloved queens of Drag Race history. Max really is, I think, an enigma wrapped in a riddle, then wrapped in gray hair and deep fried. Max's look is very polished. Her makeup is again, her skin looks flawless, even though the makeup looks very simple, very um mild, but you can't see any pores. It's very polished, and the look itself is very simple, but very polished and very upscale. And the gimmick of the newspaper again, it's very well thought out. But I guess people didn't appreciate it at the time. And of course, following Max comes in the one and only Yekaterina Samolochikova. I think that's how you say her name. You have to have an accent of some sort to say Yekaterina Zamolochikova, but we'll just call her Katya because I can't do that accent anymore. Her look immediately showcases what she is: funny, bimbo, Russian, gimmicky, and insane. And I love it. At the time, I think there was a lot of hullabaloo that she was ripping off Willem, which I don't get. Maybe because they both had man's jaws in their promo pictures. I don't know. And then walks in Jasmine Masters. At the time, even during the airing of the season, I didn't think she would go far. I thought she was entertaining. Her look was nothing extraordinary. It was pedestrian. It was very season two, season three. Um, but she was very witty and very entertaining. She obviously fit the reality TV format really well. And of course, Kasha Davis. I thought she looked fantastic. It was a very simple look, but a very polished drag, old school look. And I thought her whole shtick of "Hi, honeys," that I thought that was very entertaining and very true to her and very authentic and entertaining once again. As long as you can entertain an audience, it doesn't matter what kind of drag you do, right? And I thought Kasha Davis's entrance was really entertaining. And then walks in Trixie Mattel. Can I be honest? I didn't get the Trixie Mattel appeal, and at the time, I know when the promos aired that everybody was really obsessed with that clown makeup and that look, but I never really got it. I thought it was overstated. The face and the rest of the drag didn't go together as it did for somebody like Kimchi the next season. I thought the face didn't belong with the rest of the body, especially with that entrance look. The entrance look is very pedestrian mall drag, with the face is very artsy. So I didn't understand it, especially in that first episode. And then walks in Candy Ho, a very enigmatic queen again. We have the Candy Ho effect now because of her depiction on the show. Because I think I remember seeing her audition or something. Somebody had made up a collection of videos of the lip syncs of the queen, and I remember watching the Candy Ho lip sync and being like, "My God, whoever she lip syncs against is going home," and that almost entirely happened. And after Candy Ho walks in Pearl, what do I say about Pearl? Dreamy, milk dreamy. Like, wow. Boy Pearl, I think even at the time, everybody was totally obsessed with Boy Pearl. And even now, I can see why. Like a frat house twink look, right? And the drag, I thought was interesting. I didn't understand the chin strap, to be honest, just like Jasmine Masters. But the look I thought was polished, was entertaining. It was different from anything I had seen so far. And after Pearl walks in Kennedy Davenport. Again, in all honesty, I thought Kennedy's Kennedy was another middle of the road queen when she first walked in the doors. I thought she was just a filler queen. Even though I had seen that fantastic lip sync for one of the premieres where she does that Gloria Estefan song, and I thought, my God, that is magical. I thought the look was pretty basic. I thought the whole aesthetic and the vibe was pretty middle of the road, like mid-season exit queen. That's what I thought. Again, prejudice. As in, I had seen queens like that in other seasons who did not perform well. And then we saw Sasha Bell walk in. I was like, oh, that's an early out. Easily an early out. There's nothing there. The drag looked like something that she had got off Amazon, and the wig didn't fit her. And she said she cracked the code, and I had to think, oh, my darling, you haven't cracked nothing. It's nothing against her drag. It's just, it looked like something that I would have done at that point of time with my whole one season of Drag Race knowledge, which I think says enough about the quality of the drag at the time. And then walks in Tempest du Jour, who I thought was magnificent. I liked the entrance where the baby drops out of her cooch. I thought that was fantastic. It was quick timing and it was entertaining. And I like the editing of them showing Candy Ho not at all entertaining her in any which way. And I think they used the edit twice of her turning her head and then reversed it. It looks stupid when you look back at it. And I think there are three consecutive times in that scene. So yeah, it was entertaining. The entrances were really entertaining, and I think it was fun. And we got to meet all the queens, and then we had that funny little section with Rue appearing as a naked baby with her face, drag makeup face transplanted on a little baby. And that was fun. Again, this season was very different because we also got the new pit crew with that hot ginger straight guy, who I thought even at the time was super cute. And then we get the first change from the previous seasons, where the first mini challenge isn't a humiliation challenge. They are not being dunked. They are not getting water thrown at them in a car wash. They are not bouncing around balls, trying to break an ankle, but it's a fashion show. I think that kind of projected what this season was about. I think this kind of highlighted the dichotomy of the season, where they had a lot of performance queens and a lot of fashion queens. And the first challenge was a fashion challenge. I think their plan was to have the fashion queens compete against the performance queens throughout the season in the different fashion performance challenges. Um, of the spring looks, I liked Ginger's look. Obviously, it was very clean, very nice. I loved Max's look because, again, monochromatic, but very original, very polished, very entertaining. But I think my favorite of all the spring summer looks was, I think, Miss Fames. I liked her look the best, but my God, she can't walk. She simply cannot walk. Her drag walk is terrible. She looks like her joints don't quite work, but that look was extraordinary. And her wigs are better than Rupaul's, I must say, even in that first challenge. But she can't walk, not at all. And Jasmine Masters looks exactly like the one that she entered in this competition with. But Anne Violet's look was good too, but her wig didn't quite go with the dress. And we also had Oprah, I mean Kennedy Davenport. For the fall looks, I think by far my favorite was Max's. Like by far. I mean, my God. Looking back at it now, I think people get it, that it's simple, it's elegant, it's polished, it's POV. At the time, I don't think people got it as much, what Max's deal was. And again, even though it's a gray hair, it's a different style, it's a different texture, it's a slightly different tone of gray. And the way she walks, it is also extraordinary. And the other favorite look from that whole batch was, of course, Violet Chachki, gag worthy. I think one of the truly gag worthy new drag race moments when she flips that thing and reverses it, as Carson Presley so rightly puts it. It was extraordinary. And it's a reveal that nobody saw coming. But poor Tempest du Jour in that hacky sack. I mean, what was that? I simply don't get the reference, and I don't understand the look. Fame's look was good too, but again, she can't walk it. So, regardless of how good the look is, if you can't walk it, if you can't perform it, if you can't make it look good, you're just a clothes horse. So that was the mini challenge. And then we see everybody getting along, meeting each other. And Trixie, I think, looked cute as a boy. Everybody else looks nice. And oh, I also forgot to mention that Max and Violet are the youngest members of the cast at this point. And Max towering over everybody at all of, I think, 21 at the time. 20 or 21, which ironically was also my age when the show aired. I was the same age as Max and Violet at this time. So I was obsessed with mostly Max because as the season progresses, you'll see why. But particularly in the first episode, I thought she was wonderful. Both the looks that she presented for the mini challenge were wonderful. Violet also had two really great looks. And I think Fame also had really great looks, even though she couldn't compete with Max and Violet when it came to bringing the looks to life. So that was the mini challenge. And the main challenge, of course, is a fairly simple challenge compared to the other main challenges for the first episodes of the other seasons, which is to do a tearaway look themed around a resort. I didn't understand what the whole thing was. I didn't understand what resort wear was. I am a little poor Indian boy at this point. I had never been to a resort. I had been to beaches, but we don't stay there for days, lounging in the sun, getting a tan. I'm brown. What do I need a tan for? So anyway, so I didn't understand the concept of it, but I understood the concept of being naked, which again confused me. I was like, how are these drag queens going to be naked on stage? I did not understand it. So I was interested to see how this was going to go. I thought the mini challenge was a harder challenge than the maxi challenge, really. Because again, in the previous seasons, in the premiere episode, the sewing challenge had unconventional materials or Christmas themed outfits. You had to come up with the whole look. To me, this first challenge looked very simple and straightforward. And the walkthrough was also hilarious, especially when Rue's trying to talk to Jasmine Masters. And she's going on about that cocoon, like, the butterfly. And she reveals it and she comes out of the cocoon and it's a butterfly. It's a metamorphosis. And the more she explains it, the less clear it becomes. My God, that was hilarious. There weren't too many other moments. I think she talked to Tempest du Jour about losing weight. And I think that's the only thing I remember. I think we also had a thing where the episodes fell short, I think, at this point. I think the episodes were only 45 minutes long. So I think the episode felt a little short. But anyway, the walkthroughs were not that important. And we go straight to the third runway of the episode, which again, at that point of time, was unheard of. It was revolutionary. Woo! And RuPaul looks magnificent. I think this season, in general, RuPaul looked her best until that point. I think she looked magnificent throughout season. And in the first episode, that nude illusion gown I thought was fantastic. She looked Grecian, she looked tall, she looked magnificent, and her hair went so well with the look. And we get introduced to the new permanent judges, Ross Matthews and Carson Presley. I think only Ross was present during the actual episode. I'll have to check back again. And Kathy Griffin was, of course, the other main guest. I didn't know Kathy Griffin very well at the time. I had never seen any of her shows, but I thought she had nice quips during the episode. Yeah. And then, of course, the runway, the main runway. Wow, I thought the main runway was a little bit clumsy in general because the theme is so open for interpretation. People went at it many different ways. I thought Cartier was hilarious with her actually naked look, with that red hippie Russian lady look. And Kathy Griffin's face when she bends over is fantastic. I think I screen grabbed it to use as a response to my friends. They never understood what the reference was, but it was fun for me. I thought Kasha Davis's tearaway was really nice, and her bodysuit was weird, but I think it, apart from the zip in the back, I think women kind of look like that sometimes. Maybe not that color. Well, maybe in Florida, maybe they look like that. They are weird people in Florida. Sasha Bell's look, oh my God. I think by that point, I think it had become very apparent that Sasha Bell was not meant to last long in the competition by her own choices. I thought her hair was really good. I always like big, voluminous hair, but the look was diabolical. I thought Miss Fame's look was really wonderful for the theme, and her bodysuit was also, I think, the best. It hugged her curves really well. It fit her proportions really well. But yet again, she can't walk for shiz. I thought Kennedy Davenport's look was something of a cop out because it wasn't really a look, it was just a reveal. But the Isis wings and the whole bodysuit, I think, was one of the best, even though she had lopsided titties. The look I thought was fantastic. I think it was one of the best looks after the reveal of the night. Tempest de Jour's look, the crab lady with the saggy body elephant suit, oh, diabolical, diabolical. It did not look good. I thought she was in trouble right at that point. Trixie Mattel's pink. I don't know, for some reason I can't say Trixie's name right today. Trixie's doll look I thought was very well themed, and I liked the way that she painted the hinges on. And it was a proper look, unlike most of the other looks. It was a proper tearaway outfit, which I enjoyed. Pearl, I don't know what she was doing on that runway. That must have been the slowest runway walk ever in Drag Race history. And she takes off that outfit like she's at a hookup. Like it's so slow, so sedated. Her eyes look like she's half asleep or annoyed or pissed. And yeah, Max's look, um, I was confused when it first walked down the runway. I'm like, what the hell is this? Why does she have crutches? And what's with her bodysuit? Is she trying to be naked? But then when Michelle said Nadia Auerman, I was like, oh, maybe it's a modeling reference. So I did Google to see what it is, and turns out it's an actual photo shoot that some Nadia Auerman did. And when you look at it that way, that was, I think, a proper serve of a look. It was magnificent. I think Max performed it wonderfully. She did four outfits this episode, and each of them had a different character, and each of them had a different colored gray hair and a different style of gray hair, which I thought was fantastic. Ginger looks lovely, even though I don't know why under her tits it's brown. It's the Jinx Monsoon season 5 contour. And of course, then after Ginger comes Jasmine Masters on in a condom. It's not a cocoon, it's a condom. And then why she had that car wash fabric on her, I it did not execute itself really well. The look, she looked lovely, but again, the bodysuit was lovely and the shapes were lovely, but the look was a chop, 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 chop. Candy Ho comes out with her the upper part of her face whiter than Blair St. Clair and the lower half of her face blacker than Bob the Drag Queen. What the hell was that? She clearly did not know how to do her makeup. But again, her bodysuit was fantastic, I thought. And her reveal was not so bad too. Nobody's going to the resort wearing that because it shows off everything. But again, I thought it was a successful look. Jaden Dior's look, I did not understand because it did not look naked. It didn't look like a proper nude illusion. Uh, I didn't understand it. Violet's look, I thought at the time, I think I was confused how this is a successful look because she was just naked. And the tearaway, I didn't understand how that's resort wear. But looking back now, I see what she was going for. It was a proper look, like if a proper grande dame from the 50s or 60s went to the resort, she'd be wearing something like that with that hair. And I think it's a successful now, looking back. And after all the looks are presented on the runway, of course, we have the judges' critiques. And the best part of it is Sasha Bell trying to excuse her bad, bad execution of the. And nobody was buying her excuses. That was hilarious. And them talking about the crab lady was also hilarious. But again, unfortunate. Yeah, Tempest was just, I think she came on Drag Race at the wrong time. Either she should have waited until she had gotten accustomed to her new gorgeous figure, or she should have gotten on before the weight loss. One of those things. I don't know. I don't know how she could have changed it, but I think it was just missed timing. Yeah. Yeah, after the judges' critiques, turns out the top two of the week are Miss Fame and Violet Chachki, with Tempest du Jour and for some reason Candy Ho in the bottom. I didn't understand why Candy Ho was in the bottom. I still don't understand why she was in the bottom from a competition perspective, but from a reality show perspective, I understand it. They had friction in that episode. So obviously they were going to lip sync against each other. It was predestined. The moment they started arguing, it was predestined. And they argue on the main stage as well. So, duh, they were obviously going to lip sync against each other. And the moment the bottom two were declared, I knew that there was no chance for Tempest to stay unless it was some kind of um, 1950s Broadway song or something along those lines. That was the only possible way that she would have stayed. I understood Fame's placement in the top because her looks were clean. I was perplexed by the absence of Max in the top, to be quite honest, because all of her looks were successful and she delivered them really well. Fame's looks were good, but she did not deliver them well. Violet's looks were really good. She delivered them well as well. But I think Max's was slightly bit more polished. But in the end, contrary to what Miss Fame wanted, the winner of the challenge is, of course, Violet Chachki, which again surprised me at the point. I think that reveal won her the episode. She was the star of the episode because of that reveal. That's the one thing everybody remembered from that episode and still does. And then we move on to the lip sync, which is not a slow song or a campy song. It's Geronimo by RuPaul, which was such an odd choice. But again, we have had RuPaul songs in the premiere episode several times before, so it makes sense. But it also feels like they sacrificed Tempest du Jour to the monster performer that is Candy Ho. I mean, there was no competition there. Once the first beat dropped and Candy Ho started dancing like that, it was over for Tempest du Jour. The crab lady was going home. No more crabs, you got gout. So at the end, sadly, Tempest du Jour loses the lip sync and sachets away, and Candy Ho gets to stay barely in the episode for another day. So that was the first episode of season 7 of Drag Race. I thought it was a really strong premiere episode. We got a little bit of understanding of all the queens. We got the personalities of all the queens explained to us in a little bit. We at least the I got the general theme of the season to be fashion versus performance queens. There were a lot of young queens and there were a lot of seasoned queens. Old school queens versus new school queens. I think that was the vibe they were going for. And all of the queens kind of fit into one of these two slots. In the old school camp, we had Tempest du Jour, Kasha Davis, Kennedy, Jasmine, and of course Ginger. And maybe even Katia too. She kind of fit in the old school vibe. And in the new school, we had, and Jaden Diofios is in the old school vibe, even though she's one of the younger queens. Her drag was really old school. And in the young new school vibe, we had Pearl, we had Trixie, we had Fame, we had Max, and we, of course, had Violet. These were I think the season kind of balanced well. But as the season progresses, you see how productions underestimation of the performance abilities of certain queens in these camps and the designations that they were given kind of backfired and affected the trajectory of the season in some ways that they must not have anticipated. How Katya performed, or how Jaden performed, or how Max performed, or how Pearl and Fame underperformed. All of these affected the way the season progressed. I think it would be interesting to discuss all of that as we go through the next few episodes of Drag Race Season 7. I hope you can also come along with me on this journey of watching Drag Race Season 7 because it still remains one of my favorite seasons of Drag Race. The first episode was pretty lightweight for drama, even though there was some drama. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was thoroughly entertaining to me, and it still remains one of my favorite episodes and premieres of Drag Race. I still love most of these queens. And it's great to see that we have at least three winners from this whole season. We have Ginger finally winning a crown. We had Violet win the crown for the season. And we, of course, had Trixie Mattel win All Stars 3. And Katya, of course, was a finalist for All Stars 2. Kennedy has been a multiple time finalist so far. She was in the finals of every season of Drag Race she competed in, I think. So I think that's fantastic. Really great group of queens. Really fantastic episode. I can't wait to see the rest of the season once again and enjoy them and discuss it with you. Hopefully, you'll come along with me on this journey. So until next time, Thank you, my lovelies. This was Arjun. Have a great time. Bye bye.